So welcome. My name is Jeremiah Lehr. I'm a smart devices specialist here at Van Meter. Currently been with Van Meter a little over 13 years and been a specialist for a good majority of those years. Today, got a small presentation and a small demo here to talk about maximizing production and using safety at the same time, because a lot of misconceptions out there. Safety is bad for production. It will slow production down, and technology has come a long way over the years, and we can actually make safety and production go up with some of the new technologies that I'll be talking about and showing today. So when we look at some of the traditional ways of doing safety, there was a lot of point-to-point wiring. You're wiring a device to a relay, a device to a contactor to a relay. Lots of overhead and wires going in lots of different directions. So very time consuming for the installations, very time consuming for the troubleshooting. And there was a lot of home runs. And what I mean by home runs is you have a 50, 100-foot machine and you have a light curtain or something at the end. You're running all those wires all the way back to the main wiring cabinet with the relay in it, things like that. So that's what I mean by a home run. So lots of wire, lots of labor. Troubleshooting was always difficult with some of the older safety systems because very limited information out of the system. Is it tripped? Is it not tripped? Sometimes that's all the information you get. You didn't get why it tripped, things like that. So keeping documentation updated was always a challenge with safety. You may change your system, things like that. And so keeping that documentation up to date with the changes that were made, wires that were moved, new sensors, things that were put in. Some processes were not always followed, as a lot of people have encountered over the years dealing with safety. So there's ways we can look at that nowadays. And a lot of times safety was lock out, take out a whole machine. So instead of having to work on just one small section, you're taking down the entire machine for the maintenance and troubleshooting of that safety incidents. And we've all played the famous game of which e-stop is pressed, right? So a lot of machines will have 3, 4, 5 e-stops on them. And if any one of those is pushed, the entire machine is down. And now you got to go out and figure out which one it is. And the traditional way of doing safety made that a little difficult at times. So there's a lot of new technology out there to help with your safety applications, to help keep your production up. And one of those is safety PLCs. They've become a lot more prevalent in the world, a lot more cost effective. And a lot of times the safety PLC is the exact same price as a standard PLC. So if you're not using the safety side of it today, you can still have that safety PLC in there. And when you upgrade, migrate to a new system or want to start using safety, it's right there for you, and it didn't cost you anything extra. We have a lot of new end devices and different relays to help with safety in this day and age. We have the CR30 down in the lower left here of the slide, the programmable safety relay. So if you want to program it today for 1 or 2, 3 functions, great. You can do that through some free software installation and have that configured. And if you need to modify it, change it, add it very easily in that same software, modify that relay. We don't have to have a separate relay to add a new device like the old ways of doing things. And then there's the new GuardLink 2.0 systems that we have out there. So this brings your safety devices onto the Ethernet and into your PLC directly. So you can wire your devices through this GuardLink system, which we'll get more in depth here in the next few slides, to this black on-machine I/O module that you see kind of in the middle of the slide here. Then all you're running to your cabinet is one Ethernet cable. So getting rid of all those home runs, all those wires going into your cabinet, we're just running a single Ethernet cable from that device into your cabinet. So again, saving a lot of time, effort, and labor with only having to run one single cable. Then with that GuardLink 2.0 system, we can mix it with all kinds of smart devices, from area scanners to magnetic door locks, magnetic guard switches, light curtains, all of those are getting more intelligent and we're getting more information about them. Light curtains, for example, a lot of times we used to be able to tell if they were tripped or they weren't tripped. And that's about the limit of the data we would get out of them. Today, we can look at them and we can tell exactly which beams are tripped. Maybe beams 1, 2, 3, 4 are tripped. So we know something is at the bottom of the light curtain that is tripping it, causing the issue versus the top. So a lot of important things we can get out of there: diagnostics, time stamping when the event happened. Knowing exactly when something happened can be crucial to troubleshooting and figuring out why that incident happened. So with GuardLink 2.0, and we'll have a demo of this here after I get through the short presentation here. Been out a couple years now, and it's comprised of a Ethernet IP module, the ES432, which has the ability to have 3 separate safety channels, whether that goes to 3 different machines or 3 different zones. Very configurable how you want to set it up. So there's not a set way to do it, but each of the channels can have up to 32 devices. So that gives you a total of 96 devices controlled by this one I/O module and one Ethernet cable into your cabinet. Again, trying to increase that efficiency, increase that installation time. The other nice thing with GuardLink 2.0, it's pre-made cables. So they come in different lengths. You know how far to go from the module to the tap that you see kind of in the middle of the screen, to the next tap, to the next tap, and so on. They're pre-made cables. They got a locking mechanism in them, so there's no way to wire them wrong. So you don't have to worry about putting in a wrong wire in a wrong terminal block or anything like that. They are pre-made, ready to go, easy to wire up and quick. Tags, when you get to the PLC, and I got a short slide on this later to show you in the PLC, it's automatically generated for you. So when you get to the point of programming and writing your ladder logic for these, a lot of the tags are going to be created for you. So decreasing that development time and the development costs with this system. There's diagnostics built into the taps. We're getting more information, time stamping, sensors, how many times it's been open, how many times it's been closed, life cycle, things like that. All kinds of different information out of these that we've never had access to before. And again, can help us troubleshoot faster, reduce our downtimes, keep our production at a maximum at all times. The other nice thing with GuardLink 2.0 is we got long distance capabilities. So you can go up to 100 meters in between each tap. So that gives you a total of 300 or 3,200 meters length on this. So this can cover some long distances and some long machines. Has SIP safety in it, so you're following all the safety standards and protocols with using the GuardLink 2.0 system. And like I had mentioned before, it's on machine mounting. So again, nothing has to be home wired all the way to the wiring closet or cabinet or any of that. It's right on the machine. So keeping it safe, keeping it quick, keeping it easy. GuardLink 2.0 works with all kinds of the safety devices, the light curtains, the lifelines, the e-stops, the magnetic locking systems, the door switches. All of those devices still work with the GuardLink 2.0, and they will plug into the taps. So you need shorter cables, again, reducing the cost of your wiring that way, using shorter cables into the taps, and then all of the information is traveling down the trunk line on the taps. So here's just a quick example of a GuardLink installation where you have your cabinet there on the left with your safety PLCs in it, and then outside the cabinet you have the ES432 and the one Ethernet cable going into the cabinet. That's all we need. And then out of the top channel 0, you can see we're at 4 taps and got a light curtain in there and e-stop and some gate switches in there. But you can also see that the 3rd tap in that line has a 4th connector on it. We're adding external power. So if you get to the point of your devices are requiring too much power to function or need more power to the end devices, we can add a special tap in there that will then add extra power down the line and keep your system running and be able to run any device you want that way versus having to oh no, I'm getting close to my power limit, I have to select a different device, or I have to stop, or I have to add a new channel. We don't have to worry about that. We can add the power down the line and be ready to go very easily that way. And so you can see here further, there's a second and third channel as well with some devices in there. And again, it's mix and match. There's no way that you can have too many devices or the wrong types of devices. It's really plug and play. What you need is what you use. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's what works best for you. There's no rules that you have to have light curtains on certain channels and that kind of stuff. So it's really straightforward, easy to use. And then at the end of each trunk line is, you can see on the end caps is a terminator resistor to let it know that that is indeed the end of the channel. Okay. As far as the programming goes, this is a quick example inside Logic Designer and Studio 5000 showing that you add the ES432 module in there and give it its IP address and give it a name that you can identify easily with. And then underneath that, each channel you add your taps, and within your tags, it will automatically create what you need. So for some of our success stories of some of our customers that we've installed this with, we had one customer where they came to us originally with different shifts having different production outputs. So first and second shift production was really good. Third shift production wasn't where it needed to be and way below the other shift production levels. So the customer was very confused as to why this was happening. They had done a lot of research, they had done a lot of testing, and they appeared that everybody was doing everything correctly. The operators were functioning as fast as the other production levels, and they had spent weeks trying to diagnose what was wrong with the current system or the current issues, and they weren't having much luck. So they wanted to also increase their safety on the machines at the same time. So we recommended the GuardLink 2.0 and Safety PLC as the built-in time stamping and diagnostics to help maybe troubleshoot some of the issues that they were seeing or try to find their issues. So after a couple of weeks of this being installed at the customer, we found out that the employees were using the e-stops instead of the machine stop button. So as we know, e-stops should really only be pressed in an emergency situation, but they were pressing them just to stop a machine, just to add some new cardboard into it. So it was bringing down the entire machine versus just that small section. So with the time stamping and seeing that the e-stop was being pressed, we were able to identify that issue very quickly for the customer, and they were able to retrain those employees and bring that production level back up, and it was starting to match the first and second shift production issues just by having those extra diagnostic capabilities built into the GuardLink 2.0. So again, kind of rehashing what we had discussed here before we move on to the demo. And we're trying to reduce those operational costs, installation costs, time to repair, downtime. Let's eliminate that downtime as far as we can, get it down to our scheduled downtime. Workforce efficiency. If we can show the operators some diagnostics onto what may be wrong, which e-stops press, they can probably solve those problems by themselves without having to call an electrician or an engineer down to figure out what the issue is with the machine. So less reaction time, less need on the engineers, less downtime, again, trying to keep that production up and access to all that data. So again, we're adding safety. We're keeping our people safe, first and foremost, minimizing the risks. We're following the rules. We're compliance. We're following all the safety standards, and then we're reliable. We have all this extra data, diagnostics, information. We can make our machine more reliable and bring that OEE and that production maximization all the way to the top. So what you can see here is the GuardLink 2.0 system, and I'll point some things out here shortly. I also have a light curtain here in front of the demo that doesn't show up in front of the camera, but here we got the ES432 in there, and you can see the green light on channel 0, I don't have anything connected to 1 and 2, which is why they're flashing red. And then we have 3 taps, so our trunk line is coming out of channel 0, going into this tap, out that tap, into the second tap, out, into the third, and then the terminating resistor that we had talked about. I have a few indicator lights, so I got the new 852C here showing the status of the channel 0. So if we were to open a gate, it will turn red, and we've notified that that channel has an issue on it. And we can look at the taps and see that we have a red and a red. So whatever sensor is connected to that tap, we can close that one. But more importantly, visually on our panel view, if I hit an e-stop, I can get an indication right on my panel view that says, hey, mixer 2 e-stop's been pressed. So we can visually notify the operator that that mixer, that e-stop is the one that is pressed. They don't have to call anybody to figure out why that machine isn't working. They can fix the e-stop, it'll come back up, give you a green light. Lock controls. We can actually unlock and lock doors with this system. And so now we can unlock, open a door, get into an area, add some guard board, clear out some debris, whatever that particular need. We are only shutting down that small area. You can see the other taps are still green if those particular areas of the machine are further down and are safe. We can leave that portion of the machine running, get in what we need to do, lock it back up, head out, and now we only took down a small portion of that machine, again, keeping our production up. Got our light curtain here in front of us with our new 450L in there. So here's an example of what I have in there. The nice things with the 450Ls is we have modules that plug into them. So this can be a transceiver or a receiver. So you don't have to worry if you have to replace one, whether I got the transceiver, receiver. We can just change the modules or put the old module. If the old module is okay, we can slide the old module in and we're back up and running faster and not having to monitor as many part numbers on our shelves, making sure we grab the right one off the shelf. Again, trying to keep it simple, keep it fast, keep it production levels up. So my light curtains that I have connected here, when I get in front of me, you can see this LED is changing. Again, we're going into the PLC. We can configure that. We can have that color whatever it want. These are nice LEDs because we can configure the colors. It could be flashing yellow, could be flashing red, green when it's good. However you want to configure it. Again, notifying, giving that extra information to our operators and keeping our machine efficient. And taking our safety even a step further with this system, we can actually add some breakers that are part of our 1694 family. And now we have remote breakers. So instead of getting on our PPE, getting into a cabinet and resetting a breaker, we can do it remotely. And we can turn lights on and off with that, or within an HMI, because it's on IO Link, we can turn the lights off and on remotely and never have to get into the cabinet at all. So again, increasing that safety, resetting breakers remotely, not having to get an electrician involved, not having to wait for an electrician to get there. Their time is valuable and they're busy people. So again, just trying to keep that efficiencies up and knowing at all times which one of our devices is out of place just by looking at an HMI. Again, our capping shield is where the issue is. The operator can go over and look at that. Okay, let's just shut that. And now we're back up and running. So again, that's just kind of a quick demo of our GuardLink 2.0 and some of the new technologies that are out there in the world to help maximize your production and increase your safety and keep your operators and people safe. Thank you for listening, and I hope this has proved valuable. Again, my name is Jeremiah Lehr. Feel free to reach out to Van Meter for any needs that we can help with.